Welcome back to week 3 of the Red and Blue Rivalry Podcast, where we talk all things San Francisco 49ers and Dallas Cowboys.
My name is Eric Hernandez, calling all the faithful.
And I am Philip Enriquez, and I'm representing for America's team, baby. First thing we got to do on this podcast is we got to review these games. Both these teams are 2-0. How does it feel to be 2-0 right now, man?
Feels great to be 2-0.
Awesome, doesn't it?
I haven't felt like this in a very long time.
Just feels good.
Yes.
But let's talk about your game, man. The San Francisco 49ers take the victory 41-17 over the Cincinnati Bengals, who dropped to 0-2. I mean, what are your general thoughts? What'd you come away with after watching the game?
You know, it was amazing. I mean, that's what they hired Kyle Shanahan for. And it's taken some years, and Kyle's taken some lumps, but that was even better on paper as a whole than the last year when they beat the Raiders.
Really?
Yes, because beating the Raiders was just selfish stomping on the Raiders, but there was no future. You knew that team wasn't good enough to. This team, what they did, made you feel like this is why Kyle Shanahan is here. This is what the defense was supposed to look like when they went and they drafted Nick Bosa and they traded for D Ford. And the running game, 259 yards rushing by Matt Breida, Mostert, and Jeff Wilson.
And Breida went over 100, right?
Yeah, he averaged 10.1 a carry.
Wow.
So every time he touched the ball was a first down.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have Mostert, Raheem Mostert was a special team guy, lightning fast. And you can even see on the play action, it was a play action or a screen, where he just took the ball and he split two defenders and he was gone. He finished with 151 total yards of offense and a touchdown. And Jeff Wilson, he didn't finish with a touchdown. Jeff Wilson, who actually finished with 2 touchdowns.
Oh, he's the guy that
closed it out, yeah. He was just signed the day before from the practice squad. And he represents the ability to kind of close out a game. He's not as shifty, but he's a little more powerful. I mean, he's the one they gave it the goal line, the touchdowns to. So then you have Jimmy, and before I get to Jimmy, the offensive line. They were amazing. They didn't really give up a pressure. He had all the time in the pocket, play action. Kyle was calling up a hell of a game. I mean, the first touchdown, a good win.
So a much better feeling in week 2 than week 1's win even.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, week 1, I think in general, week 1, you just kind of want to get out of your game. Unless you know you are far superior. If you're playing, you just want to get a win, especially when you're on the road. Now, I mean, it feels great. I mean, the offense looked great. The defense, they got to
Dalton?
Yeah, they got to. I was going to say John Kitna. I don't even know why I'm having flashbacks.
Kitna.
Yeah, I was having real
our quarterback coach?
Yeah. No, it was Andy Dalton. They got to him a couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 sacks. You had Ronald Blair, who I think is kind of going to be the underrated star, especially with Bosa and D Ford kind of battling injuries still. I mean, he's a guy who can step in and get you a sack. Quan Alexander, they picked up in the offseason, has looked amazing. I mean, he brings energy. He is I don't want to say he's the leader, but he's the spark plug of that. He's the one talking, getting everyone pumped up in that defense. He made a pick. Kella Witherspoon, who's been, people have wanted him benched and cut. I mean, he's the best corner on the roster right now. So, you look at this team in total, if they can get their running game going, Garoppolo, he almost threw for 300 yards, threw 3 touchdowns, had 1, we'll call them just Garoppolo picks because he's going to throw them. If they can play like this, if they can run the ball and play defense, they can compete with almost anybody in the NFC.
Yeah, and when I was looking at the box score at the end of the game, because I caught mostly the highlights on this one, but I noticed that really Cincinnati was just completely one-dimensional. How fast did that start? Because Joe Mixon's not healthy. He didn't do anything. It was all Dalton, and he just couldn't bring him back.
No, I think that it was close first half of the first quarter. The Niners went and got their touchdown, and I think the Bengals answered back, and I think they came. They looked like they were going to take the lead too because they got Garoppolo got picked off. And those are the games of the past that they former 49er defenses led up and they're depressed because they just gave up an interception. No, they shut it down. Went and scored a field goal. Went and scored a touchdown. They went and scored a touchdown, and then the floodgates opened. From the second half of the second quarter on, it was no longer a contest. They started the third quarter. Niners went down. They got the ball first. They went down and scored another touchdown. It ended quick. 17-41 isn't even an indication of how much of a blowout that game was. That last touchdown Cincinnati got was a garbage touchdown at the end. So they were firing on all cylinders. If they can play like that and they can stay like that, they're going to be tough to beat.
So a lot of positivity coming from you. Anything that's concerning you going into the next game?
Just injuries. And I mean, you lose Joe Staley. I mean, he
Yeah.
broke. Which side note, it came out that he broke his fibula, and he's only going to be out 6 weeks. Or excuse me, 6 to 8 weeks. That's crazy.
Yeah.
When I heard broken foot or broken leg, I'm like, oh, he's done for the year. No, he'll be back by week 10. Like nothing. And that's scary because you're going to go up in a couple weeks against, Myles Garrett. That's kind of weird. You're about TJ Watts coming up for the Steelers. So you're nervous about that, and it is scary that's Jimmy's blind side. We don't want him taking many hits there.
Right.
So that the scary was the injuries. I know a lot of 49ers fans are kind of up in arms about Garoppolo's pick. And you know what? Some quarterbacks are just going to throw that ball like that. You hope that those are few and far between, but they're going to happen every once in a while. He's going to try to make a play. He's still learning, to work with these receivers, and the offense is complex. So every once in a while, they may not be on the same page, or he may think he sees something he doesn't. I mean, he's only, less than a dozen games into his career?
Yeah.
So, right. I mean, you hope he grows better on that one. I'm not worried about the interceptions. The only thing that scares me, the only negative from that game is Joe Staley going down. And the one thing is that he'll be back, and if this team is as good as I think they are, they'll be in contention for that division when he gets back.